Hello, friends, and happy Tuesday. It has been a couple of weeks since I posted a video. Everything is good, there's nothing wrong. Just kind of get prepared for where I work. I work in higher ed, so I had to get ready for that for a little bit. But I am offering my services through stretching. Hopefully in the month of September, just personalized services in the Louisville Metro. So just be on the lookout for that if you are in the Louisville Metro. But I wanted to talk about just recent lessons that I've had to learn or addressing burnout, right? And I'll be real brief because I have things to do. But I created the concept of burnout just to kind of highlight that the sisters that are burned out and kind of what are some of the things to do to navigate around burnout. And yeah, it's been pretty good. Some responses have been pretty consistent, so thankful for that. But one of the things that I caught myself trying to get into was dating. Now, let's talk about dating a little bit. So, I had a traumatic ending to a relationship in 2020. And it was rough. And it didn't, as far as a friendship was concerned with that individual, it got progressively worse in 2021. And I'll just leave it at that. And so, as a result, I had a very bad taste in dating in 2021, which left me just not wanting to date anybody for a while. And in that, I took some time, really just did some soul searching. Just was focused on that. So 2023, I just said, I might get to know somebody. 2023, I found out the gentleman was married. So there's that. And that was 23, 24. And then probably about part of 24, 25, met another guy. He seemed somewhat interested in wanting to be around me, but turned out he was a little bit of a fraud. So that was that was 25, 26. Well, really mostly just all 25. And just kind of held off for a little bit. Met a couple people here and there, 25, 26, until early summer of 26, and was very hopeful in that particular situation, but unfortunately didn't pan out the way that I hoped it would pan out. Both of us had made it very clear that we wanted to seek a relationship or something romantic. But it was later decided that, the way we decided just not to move forward. And those things can be very disappointing. And I know that sometimes we think that, maybe just getting a relationship might be able to navigate through the trenches of burnout. And sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes if you really let it get to you, burnout and heartache, it's kind of a rough pill to kind of navigate, or a hard sell to navigate through, rather. And if anything, it's just an opportunity to learn several lessons in this. And most of you guys know, for the most part, or at least hopefully from what I talk about, you guys know that I love the Lord, right? And I'm also mindful that there's some people that don't practice religion for whatever reason, and they're more than welcome to be on my page too. We don't discriminate over here. We love everybody, just like Jesus loves everybody. But there's some things that I think I've had to learn in trying to date. Is that sometimes, God needs you to yourself for a little, to himself, let me say that, to himself for a little while to kind of help, bring out the ministries that he wants out of you, bring out your best gifts and talents that he wants out of you. But also sometimes he wants you to finish the things that you started, right? Finish everything that you started, finish that business, finish that book, finish that certification, get your finances in order, get your house in order, that type of thing. And I think with burnout, burnout will radically put you in a place that all that stuff is in shambles. And thinking that you're going to be partnered with somebody with all that being in shambles is like putting carpet over a pile of trash. You know what I'm saying? And it just is what it is. You know, it's a pretty carpet, looks good, but you walk on it, there's trash on it. And, you know, you do also have to be careful when you pray that if this person is not meant to be in your life, to ask God to remove them. You have to be very careful with that, because whether it be something big or small, that right there is a surefire reminder that God listens and answers to your prayers, listens to all your prayers and answers his prayers. And you got to be careful about what you say, all right? And so it's been tough. I will say that, because this was somebody that I looked forward into building a relationship with, and like I said, it just didn't go as such. But nonetheless, it's all about just finishing what you started, really just taking the trash from up under the carpet, and rather than keep sweeping it under something, deal with it, sit in it, and really just feel those things. Now, when we're talking about God, it's all about just making sure that, yes, you have those emotions, yes, feel those emotions, but don't let those emotions have you. And that's super important in my daily life. But also, it's a season for me to, you know, give back to others, you know, in my wisdom and learning about these experiences. Like just being able to talk about like just heartache and just disappointment, and really just how to navigate through those things God's way. And so of course it's like hobbies, and I don't plan to work myself into the ground like I have done before and trying to ignore my emotions. It's all about feeling those emotions and filling them with meaningful activities that glorify God and edify him. And you know, and even outside of that perspective, it's all about just being a decent human being and just doing things that show that you are a decent human being. But I will say this. I think one of the difficult things about being in your 40s and trying to date is that it feels as if that clock is ticking, right? And it feels like it's loud as hell. Literally, it feels like it's loud. But the beautiful thing in that is when God gives you something, he's going to restore time. It's going to be like that you have hundreds of years when God partners you with the right person. I think of like Sarah, like she was in her 90s. And God said, yeah, you're going to have a baby, right? And he just laughed. She just laughed. And she had a baby in her 90s. And the interesting thing to that is not only did she have a baby in her 90s, but God gave her years to be able to raise that baby. And I'm not talking like 5 years. I think if I remember correctly, God gave her like a solid 25, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but God gave her a while. She waited until that baby was an adult before she transitioned. And same thing with Hezekiah. I was about to say the name of the gospel singer. Same thing with Hezekiah, right? King Hezekiah. When he was sick, he prayed to God, and he was given 15 years. You know what I'm saying? And so God is a restorer of time, because he doesn't have those limits like we do. He doesn't think like we think. Our ways are not his ways, you know, and it's not your chance, it's not your opportunity or your purpose to trace him, but to trust him. And, you know, now I'm, you know, in the season where I'm just trusting. Do I have a desire to marry? Do I have a desire for companionship? I do. I have a desire for true covenant partnership companionship where everything in our world is safe, but everything we do glorifies God. And that's super important to me. And I'm hopeful, still hopeful that love is out there, but just making sure I'm not idolizing it, of course. But also taking care of God's business. And what's God's business is making sure like certain things are in order before I hop into, a marriage. And there's some things that have been out of order for a while. And so I need to get back in order with those things. And really just feel those emotions, but fill it with things that really glorify God. But that also is burnout. Like once you decided, or once you have come to the conclusion that you've been burned out, like what are you going to do to fix it? Like how are you going to address those things? Because burnout, all that really is lack of boundaries, people pleasing. That's not godly. And so I'm just really in the season of learning different lessons and that type of thing. But like I said, I'm not going to be on here long, so let me know in the comments. I will get back to these stretching videos. Like I said, I'm in the trenches in higher ed, so give me about another week. Maybe after Labor Day, I'll get back to the regularly scheduled videos in terms of stretching. But I look forward to hearing from you in your comments. You guys have a fantastic evening. Bye for now.